One of the brain change therapy tools is meditation. What exactly is meditation, and why is it good specifically for the brain?
There are many styles of meditation. The one that researchers are looking at is basically mindfulness meditation, or Vipassana meditation. Just sitting still, focusing on your breath, and allowing whatever comes up in the mind to come up and go away, and return your attention back to your breath. Now that sounds simple to do. It's actually more difficult to do than you would think, because the mind is always going in different directions. But when a person is able to steady their mind and be mindful, not fight with it, not argue with what's going on, but just be aware and come back to your breath as mindfulness or Vipassana meditation, what neuroscientists have found is that there are changes that take place in brain function in terms of how neurotransmitters are used in the brain, also in terms of structure of the brain. The amygdala, they found, actually becomes smaller. The amygdala deals with emotions. And again, since the advent of the functional magnetic resonance imaging device, neuroscientists can look at the effect that meditation has. It has many positive effects in calming a person and increasing attention. It may be used now as a technique to deal with attention deficit disorder as well as other things.
Tell us about another tool you use, hypnosis. What exactly is that?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because many people have funny ideas about it because of the movies and the comedy clubs. It's a very useful clinical tool, and we think that most people are using self-hypnosis, but they don't really know it. All hypnosis is focused attention, but when you focus in a particular way, you can do lots of interesting things. You can change your physiology. You can, as Bill talked about, raise and lower your temperature. You can slow down your heart rate and so forth. And where you focus attention will open up the brain and the mind's ability to see different possibilities, to develop creative ideas, to come up with solutions that we might think are generative, that will build upon themselves and will help people in just a variety of ways. So we do use clinical hypnosis, but again, people who are driving, they get lost in thought, for example, they're in a little bit of a trance, and if they kind of forget where they are momentarily, that's what we call hypnotic amnesia. So it's a very common everyday experience that people have, and we believe that sometimes people can really help themselves with this ability at focusing attention, and sometimes if they get into what we might think of as a stuck state, that is, if a person gets stuck on an idea that they absolutely need to eat a Twinkie, for example, then they're going to have trouble moving out of that state unless they know some of the processes to do that.
Meditation and hypnosis have a lot of commonality. Meditation will primarily, especially mindfulness meditation, stay with the breath and just let thoughts go. Hypnosis may use suggestions and images to help a person resolve problems.
In addition to that, though, a lot of people think, well, what you do is you're going to take a suggestion and implant it into the brain of someone else, and it doesn't really work like that. We use hypnosis to elicit what we call resourceful abilities, resourceful memories, resourceful states. So people probably have within them the answers to many problems. They just don't know how to get to them. So that's where hypnosis can be useful.
And in addition to hypnosis, another tool in your book is deep state work. What exactly is that?
This has been fascinating for us. We found in our neurofeedback clinic that when people go into very, very deep states and we think of it as a hypnotic state as well. And these states are right above sleep. That state tends to act like a reset button to the brain and the body. So it's interesting, just like we have a stress system in the body, we have a relaxation healing system in the body. As a matter of fact, in this very deep state, the brain tends to produce its own marijuana-like substances. So without going to California, you can have a very pleasant, mellow experience, and that has healing properties to it. So we talk about that in our book as well.
We found clinically that sometimes when people spend a long time in this theta state, just above sleep, which typically we only spend a little bit of time going in as we go to sleep, and then as we come out of sleep, we go through theta. But if we can help a person stay there for an extended period of time, not only does the brain produce cannabinoids, which is a marijuana-like substance in the brain, what also happens is their perceptions begin to change. Their attitudes and belief systems sometimes change rather dramatically, and they develop insight and new strategies for solving problems that they had not thought of before and we hadn't talked about. So we became really curious about how just getting the person to relax above sleep for 30 or 40 minutes, number of times a week, led to a rather profound state of healing, emotionally as well as physically.
So this sounds like something that everybody could use in their lives. Do you describe the process of how to do this in your book?
Yes, we do, and we talk about using biofeedback systems, but you can do this without that as well. You can just allow your mind and your body to relax deeply and comfortably and go all the way down to that state and just to let yourself sit there. And it may take a person a little while to learn how to relax that much. Most people in our country walk around with such levels of stress that when they think they're relaxed, they're not really relaxed. So yes, and everybody can use this. And the interesting thing is when people spend time in these states, the state that they're in during waking moments is much calmer, much more relaxed.
While we wrote the book primarily for clinicians, as Carol mentioned, we tried to write it in such a way that while it was grounded in solid research, it also was not written in such a technical language that a person had to have a degree in psychology or a degree in the neurosciences to be able to use the information that's in the book.
Transformation is a major emphasis in your workshops and your book. Can you explain a little bit more in detail what you mean by transformation?
Well, we are so excited about some of these findings. We believe that people can remake themselves. No matter the difficulty, there are always solutions to problems, and there are internal resources, as we've said, that people have that maybe they don't even recognize, you see. Because everybody has had experiences in building self-confidence, experiences in accomplishing a goal, experiences in having adventures, experiences in developing courage, and so forth. And all of that's recorded at the unconscious level for our use the rest of our lives. Most of the time, if people can relax and, for example, recall a time when they used courage to accomplish a goal, or they used their own ability at self-confidence, they can get the feeling back inside themselves, they can get the state back inside themselves, and do the next task that they have in front of them to accomplish a goal within that state that they need to stay in.
A lot of times psychotherapy is oriented towards just removing the symptoms. And what we want to do with this book and our approach is to help people go beyond just symptom removal to a state of thriving, to a state of learning how to utilize the resources, as Carol said. We all come into the world programmed for success. We learn to walk, talk, number of things we learn to do basically on our own. And while it may sound somewhat simplistic or minor to an adult, when you look at a child comes into the world curious, programmed to succeed. And somewhere along the line we lose that ability if we're not nurtured in a particular way. And what we're wanting to do is to do more than just remove symptoms, but help a person get past that so they get into a state of thriving, utilizing their own inner resources, both emotionally and, in some cases, physiologically, to improve the quality of their lives.